One of the writers from Rick and Morty, Matt Roller, has dropped a brand new horror-themed animated series called Haunted Hotel. But is it actually worth checking out? Let's get started on my review of the first season of Haunted Hotel. Let's go.
I think it's time we blow this thing. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
What's going on, all my beautiful people? This is Jacey, and I just finished watching the first season of the new animated horror show, Haunted Hotel. Before I do get started on my review, please note this will be a spoiler-free review, just in case you haven't seen season 1 yet, or any episodes currently showing on Netflix. Also, please make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date on more new animated shows that I'm reviewing just like this. So, Haunted Hotel Season 1 stars Will Forte, Eliza Coupe, Skyler Gisondo, Keith David, Natalie Palamides, Jamie Simpson, and more. So when I first saw the previews for this, I thought, man, this looks fun. I'm not only a fan of Rick and Morty and a lot of animated shows like this, but I've always felt like when it comes to horror shows, we don't really get anything with a blend of comedy and horror, and especially in animated form. So I was really open to checking this out once I saw the previews, and I was hoping it was going to be good. Now, before I do dive deeper into my review, you guys, for the most part, I had fun watching this show. I really did, and it gave me a feeling that I haven't gotten from a show in a long time, especially an animated one that kind of gets you ready for spooky season. But Haunted Hotel steps into a new space we rarely see: animated horror comedy. The series follows Catherine, a single mom trying to keep her family together while running a haunted hotel filled with ghosts, demons, and cursed relics. Instead of dragging us through heavy lore about why the hotel is cursed, the show moves quickly into strange encounters and bizarre guest problems. And if you guys do research on this show and a lot of critics' first thoughts of it and a lot of reviews, you're gonna actually find generally mostly positive reviews, but you're also gonna see some that just really didn't like it. And that is because it doesn't really give you that explanation as to why this hotel is haunted. And also with the bigger issue that the season faces when they're trying to get guests to come through the door. It's just a show that you're supposed to watch and have fun with. There's also deeper premises in this show, and there is surprisingly some heart to it. Each episode introduces a new supernatural challenge, from cults to possessions, but what keeps it grounded is the focus on the family. At its core, this is less about monsters and more about how people deal with grief, chaos, and finding comfort in each other. Probably the best thing about this show, and even within this first season, is that each episode you not only get a different premise, different challenges, different ghosts, demons, what have you, but you get a lot of nods to previous horror classic films. And I love that. I love seeing certain scenes and even certain things that remind you of those classic films without being so direct about it. And I gotta give Matt Roller and some of the writers credit because it's pretty awesome to see a different type of premise about this family. Also, some of these monsters and ghosts that are really giving a nod to a lot of classic horror films. The story doesn't reinvent the genre, but it does bring a fun and emotional twist to it. Now, we do also have to talk about the voice acting because this is also what kept my attention throughout most of the season, and honestly I binged this within not even 2 days. But the cast delivers strong performances that really bring these characters to life. Will Forte in particular steals the spotlight as Nathan, Catherine's ghost brother, and it's funny seeing a lot of the one-liners that he has and just his personality in there. Let me say this, if you guys are a fan of Will Forte and a lot of his shows like Last Man on Earth, you're gonna love this show because he has a lot of funny moments where he's not really trying too hard, and I feel like that's the best type of comedy you can get in any show. But he has a wild range of emotions, swinging from ridiculous to heartfelt, and he keeps his character both funny and sympathetic. I did enjoy some of the moments that he did have with his sister and a lot of the problems and issues that they had. Eliza Coupe gives Catherine a quiet strength, mixing dry humor with vulnerability that makes her the emotional anchor of this series. And for sure, she's not only one one of the main characters, but she's really the glue that holds the family together. Now, Skyler Gisondo and Natalie Palamides as Catherine's kids add a layer of charm and youthful energy, while Jimmy Simpson has some fun with Abaddon, and he's probably my favorite character in here, other than Nathan, played by Will Forte. Abaddon has some funny moments as well, because he's so serious, and he is a powerful demon stuck in the body of a Victorian child. And I love his serious moments because for the most part he's very serious in here, but you have a lot of funny moments with his character because this demon is trapped in a child's body, so there's some innocence that shows. The variety of the cast delivers and helps balance both the comedy and the more emotional beats. Now, we also do have to talk about the animation. The animation is handled by Titmouse, and it walks a fine line between creepy and silly. The designs of the ghosts and creatures are creative, often leaning into exaggerated features that are unsettling one moment and hilarious the next. And you'll notice from the title card when the song plays and you start seeing little nods to the classic horror movies I was talking about. There's one character in particular that tries to swing at Nathan, and it looks a lot like Freddy, but it's not too on point with the design to where you're like, oh, that's definitely Freddy Krueger. It's kind of a variation of how he looks that gives a nod to it, but it doesn't look exactly like Freddy Krueger. So it's pretty awesome to see some of those things throughout the show. The hotel itself feels like its own character, and I did like that about the show as well. It has detailed rooms and hallways that shift between eerie and playful. The visual style supports the tone of the show, never too realistic to be horrifying, but never too cartoonish to lose its edge. It's consistent and polished, giving the show a unique look compared to other adult animated comedies. I was reading a lot of people's reactions to the show, and I feel like it's kind of flying under the radar. I mean, I think there are people that are watching it, but it's not getting that much praise because critics are kind of mixed on it. But I was on Reddit yesterday, and I was looking at some of the things people were saying, and there was one person that hit it right on the nose. They said, this is like a cross between Bob's Burgers and The Shining, but in animated form, if that makes sense. So you kind of get a comedic tone of Bob's Burgers with some of that animation fitting like Rick and Morty, but also you get The Shining because of the horror elements and a lot of that premise. What makes Haunted Hotel stand out is how much it clearly loves horror, and that's again why I was like, I have to review this. I binged it without even thinking too much about it because I was like, this show is not only fun, but it's pretty clever in giving those nods to those classics. Instead of only making fun of scary movies, it mixes parody with appreciation, and I did enjoy that. These are nods to exorcisms, cult rituals, cursed books, and even paranormal investigation shows, all twisted into fresh scenarios. While the scares are rarely terrifying, they land with enough creep factor to keep things interesting. The show knows horror fans will recognize the references, but it doesn't rely solely on them. It finds ways to mix these ideas with family drama and humor. Now, we also do have to talk about the comedy because this is listed in Netflix as just a comedy, although it's kind of a horror as well. But at the end of the day, Haunted Hotel is a comedy first. The dialogue is fast, full of puns, sarcastic remarks, and running gags. There's parts in there that remind me a lot of Rick and Morty's type of style of humor, but also kind of reminded me of the pacing of Family Guy, where you would get these quick little one-liners or these quick little funny things that would happen, and then it would just move on to the next scene, and you're like, wait, what just happened? That was hilarious. And I love seeing that, especially in an animated show, that we haven't gotten, especially like this, with that horror type of element in it. It doesn't waste time setting up long jokes though. Instead, it keeps the humor rolling and often burns through material that other shows would stretch out. You can kind of tell though, I know that this is just the first season, that they're probably trying to find their footing when it comes to this tone, because it's really difficult to keep that throughout in not only animated show, but a horror themed type of show with that comedy. So there is a couple of times where the jokes kind of drag a little bit, then it stops, and you can kind of tell that it's not really fit for this tone, but that hardly ever happens in the show, maybe once or twice, maybe 3 times. The best moments come from how the characters react to absurd situations. That was my favorite part about this, especially hearing Will Forte, and he's perfect for this role as the brother, because I feel like a lot of his comedy and his previous shows and things he's been in, he's perfect being that type of person that reacts to these things, and he takes that point of view of the audience thinking like, what is going on? Now, whether it's Nathan trying to lead the family through danger danger like a clueless big brother, or Catherine struggling to balance parenting with ghost management. Now, the only negatives I would say about this show is that, number one, not every joke hits, but there's enough wit and variety to keep each episode lively. There is one episode in particular, I feel like in the later half, that I didn't find that funny, and I felt like that premise could have been better, but that's probably just one of the only episodes. Maybe another one was okay, but for the most part, you get a lot of good stuff in this show and a lot of great episodes. The other negative, I will say, and this is not due to the show itself, it's part of the reason why I'm making this review, guys. Please go and check this out, but we all know how Netflix is. As soon as they start a show, they're quick to cancel it right away, so please go and check this show out, especially if you love animation, you love comedy-filled animation that's adult. This show is just a breath of fresh air, and it's pretty awesome to see that, especially around this time of year. Haunted Hotel isn't groundbreaking, but it's a clever mix of horror and comedy with a surprising emotional center. Strong voice acting, creative animation, and a respectful nod to classic horror tropes make it stand out among Netflix's animated offerings for this season. The pacing can feel a little rushed at times, and the story doesn't dive as deep as it could, but overall it's entertaining and worth a watch. With all that being said, you guys, I'm gonna give Haunted Hotel Season 1 3.5 flames out of 5 and a pretty fire show rating.
It's nice.
Now, for the most part, I enjoyed this show, thought it was funny, and I think it's a pretty good start for a show that could get a lot better as the seasons come. Hopefully, Netflix renews it for a second season. But again, you guys, go and check this out because it is pretty good and worth checking out, especially if you're looking for something new. Love the timing of this animated show releasing around this time of year. Yeah, definitely got me ready for October. But all right, guys, have you seen the first season of Haunted Hotel yet, or any episodes? If you have, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it overall. Last thing before I do go, you guys, please make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date. My name is Jacey, and until next time, I'm out.